Hi everyone, Sarah Pacaro. Today's video, we're going to go over emotional numbness, what emotional numbness is and what emotional numbness isn't. Obviously, the isn't is pretty clear. It is not being numb to emotion. It's the ability to experience emotion. But if you have been with a narcissist or were raised by a narcissist or experienced an emotionally unavailable or emotionally abusive or emotionally neglectful past, then you may currently be experiencing emotional numbness, the inability to feel emotion, to process emotion, to even know what emotion you're feeling. So many people that I work with in both my online program and one-to-one come to me saying that, Sarah, I can't even feel my feelings. I can't identify this. It's really hard to describe. Those are common words and phrases that they use when what they're really trying to get out is that they're emotionally numb. But how do you get out of emotional numbness? So we're going to go into that today. Emotional numbness happens when you've experienced emotional abuse. So it's not just feeling lack of emotion. It's actually so much more. So emotional numbness looks like being extra forgetful. And we go into this in my online program. We go into the different archetypes that you now have after having been in an emotionally unavailable, abusive, and neglectful relationship. And most of these you're going to see fit with the gaslighter archetype, because that's the part of you that questioned and distorted your reality, the part of you that now doesn't trust any experience because you were forced to not trust that experience from that emotional abuser. So now you don't trust your own experiences, and this leads to emotional numbness. But it's not just a lack of feeling emotion. It's being extra forgetful. It's your mind trying to make sense of what happened and then going blank, checking out, tuning out, thinking, huh? Wait, what did you just say? Could you say that again? And being very jaded, very hazed, very distorted, very confused, feeling this sense of push and pull and frustration because of this forgetfulness. And that emotional abuser, if you're still in contact or relationship with them, will point that out and say, oh my God, I can't talk to you about anything. You forget everything. And you're thinking, well, no, I don't. I remember it. I know that I was there. Why can I not connect the dots? It feels like there's dots, but there's no line to connect those dots. So it's very, very frustrating to feel. And this is that gaslighter archetype that you take on, even if you're out of the emotionally abusive, neglectful, or unavailable relationship. You find that you just forget. You forget a lot. And it's very frustrating because it shows up in your relationships and it impacts them significantly. You don't feel like you can have deep, meaningful connection in relationships because you forget things. You forget small things, you forget big things. And then you just feel like you're just, oh, it's no. And you don't like that feeling, especially when other people point it out, because it deeply connects to that unconscious wound that you have, that lack of clarity and trust that you have with yourself. So being extra forgetful is one of the signs of emotional numbness. Procrastination, we go into this inside the program deeply and intensively. It's called the P-me, what I call the P-me. One of the archetypes that's developed after going through an emotionally unavailable, or abusive relationship, the P-me, that's the perfectionist and the procrastinator. But that's a sign of emotional numbness, procrastination, or feeling extremely indecisive. Again, that's the gaslighter archetype that you have developed because of that relationship. Procrastination means you're putting things off, and is often linked to this fear of failure, this fear of being seen, fear of success. What if it does work out? And oh my gosh, who am I going to become? And that's really what I dream of and I desire, but I'm also afraid of that very thing that I want and deserve. So you put it off, you procrastinate it, or you feel extremely indecisive. This is the flip-flopping, what I call the ping pong mind. This is all a part of the P-me. You ping pong back and forth between it has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, I'm not going to put it out there, because then there's the fear of judgment. What are people going to say if it's not perfect? Then there's the fear of the criticism. And so you don't do anything at all, right? You procrastinate it, or you feel extremely indecisive and think think, you know what, I'm going to go do this instead. That person's doing that. They seem to be having great success. I want to feel good the same way that they do, and they're having great success with it as well. I'll just go do that instead. And you leave behind that deep burning desire, purpose, and passion that you were born with because of this emotional numbness. So it's so many things. It's the gaslighter you, it's the PU. Another sign of emotional numbness is feeling things internally. This is really where the deep one-to-one work comes in with transformational healing, is you feel things internally, but there's no outward expression. This is what I call that Lady Gaga poker face, right? You feel things internally, but you feel no outward expression. This is what I call the F me, because you're like, me, right? You feel it and you're processing it internally, but you're afraid to let it be known or shown externally. So there's no outward expression. So internally, the F you has this smile plastered on, wearing the mask that everything is a-okay and hunky-dory and no problems here. But internally, you're losing it. You are about to explode. You are about to break apart, crumble, and completely lose it. But externally, there's no outward expression of that. So other people think, wow, you're doing so well, especially after everything you've gone through. I'm amazed. Wow. How did you do that? No, just, I'm strong. I'm just willpower. So that's a sign of emotional numbness. Another sign is that you find it difficult to cry. So many clients that I work with in our breakthrough transformational sessions, they begin to cry and they think, oh my God, like I actually can cry. And they have repressed and pushed down crying or the expression of emotion for so long because somewhere in their past they were punished for doing so. So they now find it difficult to cry or difficult to even feel disappointed. That's a sign of emotional numbness, or just completely tuned out, checked out. Don't even feel the disappointment, because in the past, when they felt it, it was so painful. So their unconscious mind has locked off that ability to feel and express emotion because it could lead to expressing and feeling disappointment. That which they felt so much of in the past, of course, they don't want to feel it anymore. So their unconscious mind kicked in and said, let me give you something else to do instead. And that was lock off the ability to cry, express, or feel anything. And feeling disappointment is one of those things. So another sign of emotional numbness is preferring isolation, self-isolation. And a lot of people put this in the I have social anxiety category, even though they deeply desire being with others. They'll use their phone and they'll sit there and scroll and numb and look at all their friends and all these other people that are out traveling and going places and getting together and doing things, and sit there and be envious and jealous of that and wish that they could be doing that as well. Wish that they could be doing that too. They'll decline and turn down invitations from friends and really, really want to go, but tell themselves, well, I can't go because I have social anxiety. And they will prefer isolation because when they're isolated and they're alone, at least they can't be judged or criticized or ridiculed by other people. And they will tell themselves that they don't care. They actually prefer to, Netflix and chill and stay at home, but they really deeply, strongly desire to go out and be amongst people and community and finding and feeling connection. But they will self-isolate versus being with other people. That's another sign of emotional numbness. Another sign is making decisions without putting in much forethought. This used to be me. Oh my God. You said jump and I was already in the air, extremely impulsive. So not really thinking things through, just going off the whim and doing things just, oh, okay, yeah, let's go. And not really planning things, not really seeing what needs to be done in order for that to be successful or to accomplish and achieve it. And then finding yourself getting so lost, feeling like you're spread everywhere and finding that you have so much to do. And this falls into not having healthy boundaries, right? The inability to say no to people. This is part of the gaslighter archetype as well, because you're so confused. And then you think that, oh, well, the P me, right? And the superhero archetype that we haven't mentioned yet, that's that, yes, I can do everything and I don't need anyone attitude. Let's do it. Let me prove to you how awesome I am. I can get this done. Let's do it. But really doesn't put much forethought into these decisions. They just jump off the cliff and make them, right? So they'll do that without a parachute and then fall and hit the ground and go, oh my God, what happened? But that's a sign of emotional numbness, making decisions without putting in much forethought. Another sign is shutting down and feeling like life is pointless. Having this, what's the point of this? So completely shutting down. And a lot of times this expresses as shutting down and shutting in. So again, linking to the self-isolation, just shutting down completely, not letting anybody in. So this is a part of the archetypes as well. The superhero one specifically, not letting anyone help them, not receiving help and not asking for help and not letting it be known that they want or need help, but keeping that feeling in, a feeling shut down and feeling like life is pointless. And this leads to self-harm. This leads to ideations of not being here anymore. So that is another significant sign of emotional numbness as well. Another one is daydreaming constantly. This falls into the gaslighter archetype because you're daydreaming about what could be if you weren't stuck in this anymore, constantly dreaming about a better life and how it can be better, and having clarity on what it would look like and feel like, but not feeling and believing that that better life is available to you, but constantly daydreaming about it. So that's another sign of emotional numbness. Obviously, feeling disconnected from yourself and from others is incorporated in all of this. You can't connect with another until you have connected with yourself. There's always going to be some space and some distance, feeling like you've got one foot in and one foot out. That's another sign of the archetypes as well that we get into, deeply transforming and healing, using the power of your unconscious mind through transformational healing sessions. Two more signs of emotional numbness are difficulty and trouble processing information. Again, that connects with that being extra forgetful, because on one hand, you think this and you know this, and you can even have all the proof in front of you. It can be laid out for you, go, here you go. And you're thinking, well, hold on, I'm not sure. Let me look into this. And so you go and you research and you dive into everything. And then you begin reading stuff. And then you're thinking, well, I thought this was it, but I don't know. I read this. I hear that all the time with clients that I work with one-to-one. Well, I read this somewhere and this said that. And then when we throw logic into it, it doesn't make sense, right? Or they question that they question it. And so they have a really difficult time processing information because they're thinking, well, this said this, well, this said this. And not checking in with themselves or with others because they don't feel safe to, they don't trust themselves to. And that's a gaslighter archetype. They'll go out and they'll ask someone and they'll research, and then they still won't trust or believe what the research said or what that person that they asked said. But oftentimes they'll go along with it anyway. So they have a difficult time processing information because on one hand, they really didn't believe that it was that way, but they went ahead and did it anyway. And so now their mind is like, well, which one is it? And so you feel stuck in that's just frustrating limbo place. And this leads to the next sign of emotional numbness, feeling completely exhausted, having no energy, and feeling uninterested in everything. Because after time, why is it going to become interesting to go continue to put yourself out there and in those situations? So you just feel like a shell of yourself and of a person. Feels like your soul, your spirit, your purpose is way out there somewhere. You have no idea where it is or how to get to it or how to reintegrate it or where to find it or where to even begin looking. So these are all signs of emotional numbness. And all of these fit into all those archetypes of people who've experienced an emotionally neglectful and abusive past. We dive into that into my Pain to Power program, which is your personalized roadmap to healing from narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse. It goes into the archetypes of gaslighter, stuffer, bottler. We didn't mention that one today, but all these things lead to stuffing your emotions down, bottling them up, and oftentimes using food, alcohol, drugs, other substances as a form to numb and run, to numb them out or run away from them. But this is about emotional numbness. So you're already using that and doing that. But we get into that F me, the fake me, the fraud me, the one that smiles and says everything's okay, the superhero me, and the P me, the procrastinator and perfectionist. I tried to say that fast. So just wanted to share this video with you. If that's where you're at after having lived through, suffered through, and experienced narcissistic abuse or an emotionally abusive past, and you're looking for something that actually works, you're ready to dive into using the power of your unconscious mind, diving into rapid transformational therapy, really connecting with your inner self and filling in those gaps of where things went wrong or how things got off so that you can realign and revitalize your life, then I would love to connect with you. You'll find more information on all of that in the description below this video. But until then, I hope that this video on emotional numbness and all of its signs and qualities helps you understand it a little bit more. Again, I always say videos just like this are just knowledge. They do not actually help you heal. It's just more understanding and awareness of what you have been through in the past to maybe help you connect more of those dots, but really deeply connecting with your unconscious mind and healing those inner places and wounds within you is the way to go. Not just watching more videos or reading more books. I always say that. So this video is obviously for educational purposes only, but if you're ready to take a deep dive into completely transforming your life after living one like that in the past, I would love to speak with you, love to see you inside our program, or see if we're a good fit to work together one-to-one using transformational healing sessions. All that information you can find in the description below. Until then, take care and be well, my friends. We'll talk to you soon.